Hi everyone, this is Taysa Brown, the Silviculture Performance Assessment Specialist with the Forest Science Planning and Practices branch. In this video, I'll explain how to collect and compile the new Swiss needlecast data using SNAP. If you haven't already seen it, you should first watch the Data Collection Swiss needlecast video. It explains why additional monitoring is required and it outlines in detail the new survey procedures. You can also watch the field demonstration video. It's just 4 minutes long. Also for review, you can download the Swiss needlecast spreadsheet from the BC Silviculture Survey's website. It has tabs with detailed instructions, helpful graphics, reference pictures, sample data, and a submission template. In this presentation, I'm specifically covering how to collect and compile the Swiss needlecast data using SNAP. I'm not endorsing SNAP. I'm simply outlining a process given the number of coastal licensees and consultants who use this software. I'm requesting non-legal data, so I fully recognize that I need to make this process as easy and seamless as possible. If you'd rather collect the data using an Excel template or in a field notebook, you absolutely can. Don't feel obligated to watch this video, but for anyone who uses SNAP and manages large-scale survey programs, I'd recommend checking this out. I think it'll help. All right, let's start with the easy data entry. Your Swiss needlecast height and age will match with your inventory height and age since they are both based on the tallest Douglas fir tree within your 3.99 meter plot. So you don't need to do anything extra. You'll just record it as per normal in your inventory sample age and inventory sample height columns. You also need to enter the leader height, and there's a column directly adjacent. So please use it to reflect the leader growth on the Swiss needlecast and inventory sample tree. It's recorded in centimeters. All right, now for the needle retention data entry, I'd recommend using the plot's optional field, shown right here. It's next to comments. You should write out the needle retention value for each internode, starting with year 1. Year 1 should always be displayed on the far left. This is critical for the data cleanup later in Excel. Equally important, you have to separate each value with a comma. So that's it for the data entry. The main takeaways are: 1, you'll record height and age in the inventory height and age columns as per normal. 2, you'll record leader in the leader field. 3, you'll record the needle retention data in the optional field. The order of your data has to be consistent across all plots and all openings in your entire survey program. So for example, I would aim to always have year 1's measurement on the left. You also have to be very consistent about using commas between values since that will allow them to become unique cells in the Excel submission. So using SNAP to record this information should speed you up. You won't have to bounce between applications or create templates in a notebook. So I hope this helps. Next up, we'll talk compilation. At the end of the field season, you can compile the Swiss needlecast data quickly across all blocks using the analysis function in SNAP. It looks like a calculator right here, and it's displayed in the top bar. So when you click on it, a window like this opens up. On the far left side, you see your projects listed out. Select the applicable project. Then on this side, you see all the individual cards listed out. You can hold the control button and then manually click individual blocks. Or if you've collected it across many blocks, I'd recommend just going Control F and that'll select all cards. Then you hit the next button right here. Okay, next we need to select the data that we want displayed. To start, we have to pick the right section. So there's a drop-down bar right here, and you want to choose species tally. All right, so after you pick species tally from this section heading, the items to view list will update. You need to scroll through it and select all of these following attributes. So for example, I have inventory sample age, inventory sample height, leader height, tree species optional. And if you scroll up the list, you'll be able to find plot name, SU, opening ID, and field finish date. After you click them all, then you just select OK. All right, this window then pops up. It's going to be a lot bigger than this though. And you need to go to this Excel tab. It's in the far left corner. Click on it, it'll drop down two options, export and save. I would select export. All right, and now it opens up in Microsoft Excel. If you did select all of the cards in your project, it's probably a pretty big Excel file. I'm guessing thousands and thousands and thousands of rows. I would recommend immediately saving it and calling it Swiss Needlecast 2023, and then we can move on. All right, now we're going to do one more export from Snap. So we again open up the analysis tool, which looks like a calculator. When it's open, under section, we choose site description. That then updates the items to view list, and we have to select the following attributes: opening ID, SCU, ecological classification, and site series 1. Then we hit OK. This window then pops up. Under the Excel tab, we hit export. When it opens up, we then will save it, and you can call it Swiss Needlecast Ecology 2023. Right, it's decision time. You can go with either option. I don't care. So the first option is you just email me these two spreadsheets. Second option, if you don't want to send me all that data, you can follow the remaining steps and clean this data and send me just the Swiss Needlecast information. All right, so if you want to continue on with the data cleaning, we're going to start with the Swiss Needlecast spreadsheet. So if you can open it back up, that would be great. Then we're going to select the top row of the spreadsheet that has the headers. So we just hit the left side of our mouse to select it, and then we're going to go to the data tab right here, and under sort and filter, we're going to hit the filter button, this one right here. Then we're going to apply a filter to remove all of our non-Douglas fir species. So to do that, we're going to hit the drop down under tree species, deselect Douglas fir. All that's left are our plots, our rows with non-Douglas fir data. We're going to select all of these by hitting the left side of our mouse and dragging. Then we're going to hit the right side of our mouse, click that, and go delete row. Nothing's left. So now we go back up to the sort and filter section of the data tab, and we're going to hit clear. And now we have our Douglas fir rows remaining. So that's the end of our first step. In case you want to just reference the PDF of the presentation later, I've written out the instructions that I just described in the screen recording. All right, so that step definitely helped reduce the size of the spreadsheet, but we're still left with more data than what's required. After all, we only collected the Swiss Needlecast data at our full measure plots, which happened every fourth plot. So to remove our Douglas fir rows where we don't have the needle retention ratings, I'm going to use the optional field right here. I'm going to hit this drop down arrow. I'm going to deselect, select all, and in turn, I'm going to select blanks. Now I'm left with my rows where I do not have needle retention ratings. And you can see that by having this blank optional field. For some reason, some of them I do have heights and ages. You can just disregard that. Now to delete these rows, I again hit the left side of my mouse. I drag down to select them. I hit the right side of my mouse and I go delete row. Then I once again clear out the filter, and you can see that I'm left just with rows where I have Douglas fir and the needle retention ratings. So that's the end of this next step.
Here are the written instructions for what I just covered in the screen recording.
All right, now that we have less data in our spreadsheet, we can now focus on splitting these needle retention ratings into separate fields. Now to do that, we're going to first select the optional column, hit the left side of your mouse, and the whole column should be selected. Then under these tabs, choose Data, and then go to the Data Tools section and choose Text to Columns. This window pops up, choose Delimited, hit Next. Under Delimiters, choose Comma, Next, and then for Destination right here, let's choose the cell adjacent to inventory sample age. So if you blank that out and then with your left side of your mouse, just hit the cell adjacent to inventory sample age, it will populate the destination field and then go finish. And that is it. Again, here are the written instructions for what I just described. Okay, so the text to columns tool clearly worked. You see that we now have 4 columns and it's split at the comma. So again, that highlights the importance of having a comma between each of your needle retention values. Now we can apply or we can update the header. If we were good about consistently entering year 1 on the left, we can simply update it as follows: year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. We can also add in a totals column, and to do that we can go equals sum bracket and then drag across the 4 columns and then close bracket. To get that formula to apply to all of our rows, if you left click on this cell, you'll see that there's a small square in the bottom right corner. If you double click on that, it drags the formula down for the full column. Alternatively, you can hover over it, you'll see a plus sign, and then you can drag that down. So right off the bat, I am noticing that I must have a data entry error. All of these totals values should be between 0 and 4, given each of the values in the year fields needs to be between 0 and 1. So to find additional errors, I would recommend extending this filter across these new columns. So highlight this top row by left clicking on it, and then go filter, that turns it off. Click filter again, it turns it on, but now for these new columns. Now under totals, I'm going to hit the arrow. I'm going to go sort largest to smallest, and then anything that's above a 4, you know right off the bat you have some sort of issue. And then you can go search in the year to year values to find that error. So right here, this is my issue. I have an 8. That's obviously higher than a 1. So if I go over to my optional field, I can see what happened. I just missed entering the dot here. And as a result, this got entered as an 8 instead of a 0.8. So if I correct that, it brings my total value down to 3.6. So go through all your data, correct any mistakes, and once it's all cleaned up, you're good. Steps over. Okay, again, these are just the written instructions for what I just described. This now ends the data cleaning of the Swiss Needlecast spreadsheet, and we're going to move on to the ecology spreadsheet.
All right, so here's our spreadsheet. We are now going to pull in the ecology information from the spreadsheet into our Swiss Needlecast spreadsheet. We can do that using the Excel lookup function. Unfortunately, we can't just look up the eco classification or site series using the opening ID, since there will be many opening IDs with numerous SDUs. As a result, we first need to prepare our data. I'm going to do that by merging together the opening ID with the SU using the concatenate tool. So let's create a column to the left of card, and I'm going to call it opening SU. It has to be in this position in order to work with the lookup function later. So the concatenate function, we go equals in the top row, and we write out concatenate, CONCATENATE, do a bracket, and then we're going to click on the top row of opening ID right here, do a comma, then I'm going to do an apostrophe, dash apostrophe, just to make it a little bit more legible, and then I'm going to do a comma, and then click the A, the top row of the SEO, and then I'm going to close the bracket. And you can see that it's merged them together. And then I'm going to hover over the bottom right corner, double click, and it drags down for the full list. Now I'm going to need to repeat this on my Swiss Needlecast spreadsheet too. So let's see if I can open it up. So here we go, switched over to the Swiss Needlecast spreadsheet. I'm going to create a new column. Call it opening SU, same as the other one, equals concatenate, select top of the opening ID, comma, apostrophe, dash, apostrophe, comma, select SU, close brackets. and double click.
These are just the written instructions for what I just explained in the screen recording.
All right, so now that we have the opening SU field in both spreadsheets, we can now pull in the ecology data into the Swiss Needlecast spreadsheet using the VLOOKUP formula. Now, to give this a proper test to make sure it's working, I did add in some other opening SU values into this column, and we're going to give it a test. So again, this has to be on the far left side of both of your spreadsheets. So let's first start off with the subzone variant. And we go equals VLOOKUP bracket, and then we select the top row for opening SU. Then we go comma, and then we open up our ecology spreadsheet. And we are going to do the table array as all values within our table. And then we go comma, and now we have to specify what row we want to look up our result value. And so we want it from the ecological classification column. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So after the comma, we go 5. And then we want an exact match. So we go comma and we go 0. Close bracket. And let's see if it works. So let's drag drop this down and let's compare. Okay, so first row for both happens to be the same, and it should be CWHMM1. Okay, so that's good. Then I have 564, 654B, so that's right here. It should be VM1, so that's good. Let's go down here, 852C. So that's this guy. It should be DM1, and that's good. Okay, so we don't seem to have any issues. The formula worked. So let's repeat that, but now for site series. So again, we go equals VLOOKUP. We select the top opening SU again, go comma. We once again highlight the full table worth of data minus the headers, comma, and now we have to pick the column with site series. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we put a 6, and again, we want an exact value, so we go 0. Close bracket, enter, 01. Let's double click this so it applies for the full column. And let's again do some checks. So let's do 542A. So that is right here. So it should be XM203. XM203, that's correct. Let's do one other check. Let's do 654B. It's this one here, so it should be VM101. VM101. Okay, so it is working. So we now have our spreadsheets linked. We have our ecology information, total needle retention. We have our ages and our heights corrected. We have leader. We have our plot name, opening ID, finish date. So now we can just clean up. So I'm just to make sure that we don't have any errors, I'm just gonna copy and paste so that we remove the formulas here. So I'm gonna go paste value. And I'm gonna delete the opening SU and the card fields. They're not needed anymore. Okay, we don't need species. They're all fur, so delete that. We have leader height sample, So that is perfect. If you sent that to me and David, we would be incredibly happy.
Okay, these are just the written instructions of what I just covered. You can use the VLOOKUP function to link the ecology spreadsheet with the Swiss Needlecast spreadsheet through the opening ID SU field. So that's your lookup value, and then for your table array, you'll select all cells in your ecology spreadsheet minus the headers. You have to write the column number of the ecological classification column or the site series column. And then for range lookup, I would go with 0. That provides you with an exact match. All right, that wraps up my compilation instructions. Hopefully they're clear. To do all these steps, it's probably 5 to 15 minutes, whether you have a handful of rows like my example or 30,000 plus rows.
If you just can't figure it out, especially the linking bit, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. I can walk you through it if you want to learn, or I can do the compilation for you if you send me the Snap exports. You would just need to make sure to choose all the appropriate fields in Snap's analysis tool. Once everything is done, you can submit your spreadsheet to David and myself. I just want to thank you again for your help. This really is going to make a difference, and I want to wish you a great survey season. Have fun out there.